How are you giving any health advice when you look like that?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Joe Rogan destroying Bill Gates on a recent episode of his podcast. Now, we all know about Bill Gates, right? This guy purports himself to be, I guess, this nation's de facto health czar, maybe even the health czar for the entire world. But when you ask a few questions or you just observe what's going on with Bill Gates himself, you get to thinking, why, out of everybody in the world, is this guy the health czar? Surely you could find somebody better than him. And before I jump into that, let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see Joe Rogan express his concern about Bill Gates being some kind of go-to guy for all our health concerns. But after we get done with that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what he said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep, detailed analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
There have been some interesting pieces where folks are looking at food like they want it to be operated like IP, like software. They want you to be able to own the
It's
intellectual
interesting you
property.
say that because Bill Gates is now the largest owner of farmland in the United States.
Yeah.
We looked at that up once. There was some sort of dispute about that, but then we looked at it, said he was.
He wants
right?
to be.
He owns a lot. Put it that way.
The Gates,
Yeah.
Gates Foundation is one of the major sponsors of this study that I was just talking about.
But the thing is, like, he keeps saying that we've got to eat less meat, and we've got to cut our consumption of meat out to be healthy, and that we're going to get used to these meat alternatives. When a guy like that says that, I'm like, are you making money because of this? Like, why are you saying that? And by the way, you look like like, because if you're eating those plant-based burgers or whatever you're doing, like, you're obese. Like, a guy like that telling people about he's got these breasts and this gut, and I'm like, this is crazy. You're one of the richest guys on earth. You have access to the best nutrients, the best. You could have an amazing trainer. You could be in phenomenal shape, and you're giving out public health advice. You're giving out health advice, and you're sick. It's like literally like a non-athlete trying to coach professionals. Like, what the are you talking about? How are you giving any health advice when you look like that? Your health is piss poor. I'm not a doctor. But when you've got man boobs and a gut and you're walking around, you have these like toothpick arms, I'm like, hey, buddy, you're not healthy.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, shout out to Joe Rogan. I'm a big fan of his. I mean, I'm not necessarily in lockstep with him politically, but some of the things he says, or really most everything he says, it's just kind of common sense. You can't really disagree with it. I mean, not really. Like on some of the more ideological things, that's different. But on some basic things, it just makes sense. When you see Bill Gates, do you see the picture of health? I'm not saying he's totally unhealthy, but at the same time, I'm not saying that he's like the picture of health, right? And he's also a big time hypocrite. He talks about wearing masks all the time, right? Now, if you Google Bill Gates mask, you can find him wearing a mask. But generally, when you see him, when he does these interviews and whatnot, he's not wearing the mask at all. But then he'll say things like, oh, well, you got to wear masks as often as wearing pants. You just got to do it because we got to slow the spread, flatten the curve. But going back to my original question, why is he the de facto health czar? Who died and put him in charge of our health? Okay. Why must I listen to Bill Gates over actual doctors? Like the frontline doctors, why are they banned from pretty much the internet? Why, if I post something from them, I'm getting punished for it? But these are actual doctors, like medical doctors in the field, because what do we get told over on the right or from the pro-vaxxers or from the brainwashed people, the sheep, right? The sheep normies that believe whatever television tells them. What do we get told from them? Oh, doing your own research. You don't know anything. You're not a doctor. How you going to diagnose yourself? How you going to diagnose somebody else? But then when we cite actual doctors, peer-reviewed papers, research, physical evidence, when we bring all that to the table, oh no, that's junk science, that's fake news, that's not really real. I believe in the real science. And when you say, well, what's the real science? Can you give me an example? Oh, Bill Gates, Dr. somebody on TV. Okay. Whoever Steve Harvey has on for a guest at 3:30 in the middle of the day, I believe that person rather than actual doctors out there in the field. Okay. And since when was Bill Gates ever a doctor? He's a computer programmer at best. Bill Gates is not the kind of guy that I would look to. And then physically, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and judge everybody's character. I'm not Mr. Olympia sitting before you, but I'm also not going to be on TV talking about, hey, you know what? I'm the premier expert. I know everything. Listen to me. I'm going to say, look at the doctors and what they say. Okay. And Bill Gates most certainly shouldn't be in the position of trying to tell you what to do as far as the whole vegan thing. Now, if you're vegan, I'm not trying to attack you. Okay. It's totally fine if you're vegan. That's all right with me. But here's my issue. I think being vegan has its drawbacks. Okay. It's not this miracle thing. Because I was vegan for, I say about 3 years I was vegan. I'm not going to do that again. I think that it was cool to embrace more green vegetables into my diet, more fruits and vegetables, obviously, to have a more balanced diet. Because before that, my diet wasn't really all of that. So it's good to embrace these things. But if all you're going to eat is that could be a serious problem, because what that boils down to is you're going to just consume a bunch of carbohydrates. All these soy burgers and, stuff like that, all these meat alternatives. Like, here's my thing. If you're going to be a vegetarian, why also eat these things that look like meat and taste like meat? Just eat the meat. It's not going to kill you. You'll be okay. All right. Now, if you eat 1,000 pounds of red meat every day, that's going to kill you ASAP. The same way, if you ate 1,000 pounds of sugar, you die. Okay. Ain't no animal byproducts in that as far as sugar. That's straight from vegetables. But it's the overconsumption and the lack of a balanced diet that's the problem, not necessarily eating meat or not necessarily eating vegetables. It's a too much thing. Okay. And then as far as vegetables, you're going to miss some nutrients. I was watching this one doctor talking about veganism a long time ago, and he was saying, oh, well, you still need some fish oil. I'm like, all right, you see, the key, in my humble opinion, and from what I see from reputable doctors and sources, is have a balanced diet. That's probably the best way. And if a guy like Joe Rogan says that he has a carnivore diet and it works for him, and he's a health nut, he's been a health nut for a long time, a physically active person, an athlete, I might want to take what he says over Bill Gates, who is not a doctor. Understand this. These two guys are not doctors. They just happen to have opinions about what people should do. Now, if one guy looks like he's in great health, great shape, been that way for a long time, professional athlete, knows other athletes, if he's over here and then the other guy, not an athlete, never been an athlete, never been a doctor, is a computer programmer at best, and he doesn't look too good, I might go with the guy that kind of understands what's going on with himself physically a little bit more, meaning Joe Rogan. So Bill Gates, not really my cup of tea personally. Okay, the Windows OS, you got the monopoly on programs. Congratulations. Well, not necessarily, but I prefer Windows OS over Apple. That's a whole different story. Apple, in my opinion, Apple died after Steve Jobs died, but I won't go down that road, so I digress. The whole point is you can't have a monopoly on the desktop computing solutions in the world, but ultimately, that is where my praise for anything Bill Gates related stops. Okay. I see him as a businessman. You might have money in some of these companies that push out some things that they want us to take on a mandatory basis, things that are funded by the federales, then they could just print money and help your portfolio grow, help your pocket grow. Okay. That's kind of what I'm seeing from Bill Gates. I don't want to take advice from him when you're talking about medical stuff, especially when he may or may not allegedly have a stake in these things. He's trying to goad me or get the federales to force me by law to engage in. That's it should be common sense. But again, I think that common sense is becoming far too uncommon. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Joe Rogan said about Bill Gates. Are you right there with him? Was he too judgmental? Was he mean? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I say bravo to Joe Rogan. Bill Gates, I do not listen to at all. Anytime I see him say something, I'm thinking, okay, do the opposite, or at least research it. I will never take Bill Gates' word for gospel. Same thing with Anthony Fauci, because they keep flip-flopping and say, oh, I never said that. When you got him on videotape saying that, saying this, saying that, saying the wrong thing, saying things that can be proven incorrect, citing sources that don't even exist. I mean, just all kind of weird, ridiculous stuff. Why would I listen to anything they got to say? And if I do hear them, if I do listen, I'm definitely going to fact check them, because they're not the end all be all of science in the US of A. Okay. I keep being told, trust the science, believe the science, all this, that, and the third. But who died and made Bill Gates a scientist? Again, computer programmer at best. Computer science and political science is not biological, nutritional science. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.